right.
Right.
So I think this is working. So we'll go ahead and give it just a quick second. I've got the thing pulled up here to make sure it's working. All right, are you? There we go. All right. And so why don't you guys introduce yourself, and we will talk about, after you guys introduce yourself, we'll talk about the book, Lost Fleet Fearless by Jack Campbell, which is actually not his real name, but a wonderful, wonderful book. I had a blast with it. I know you guys did too. Man, this thing was good. So I can't wait to get in and talk about it.
Oh, me? Oh, damn you guys. Right, I'm Joe. As you can see, Unity 151. I have a small YouTube where I just basically talk about military sci-fi and space opera sci-fi books. But I like the action and the fighting and the shooting and the aliens and the big ships destroying other ships and all the glory that comes with that. That is pretty much it, really. So if you like that sort of stuff, well, yeah, that's it, really.
Carl, our channel is Geek on My Sleeve. My brother and I do spoiler-free book reviews, some summary recaps of science fiction and fantasy. And then our big thing is every Sunday we do a live book discussion, kind of like I'm doing with you guys today. Later on, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are covering The Singularity Trap by Dennis E. Taylor. And yeah, I get an awesome Sunday doing 2 book discussions, so I'm ready to get into it.
Cool.
All right, so I'm typing in the big question now, but favorite character in this book? What was the character that stood out to you the most? Was it Blackjack again, or was it somebody else?
I would say Blackjack is my favorite character through the 2 books as it goes, but as this single book, I did like Falco just because of his whole arc of what happens, how he comes in, the issues he's had at the camp, and then his failure basically, and just, you know what I mean, that whole, because he loved the Alliance, he did everything for the best of the Alliance in his mad way, and it turned on him, and I thought that was quite a good character.
Yeah, it's hard to get upset at characters when you feel like they legit feel like they're doing their genuine best, right? Like,
yes,
we end up learning that he wasn't quite all there, going through the trauma of being a war prisoner. Yet
20 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yet with everything he was doing, and as much as like it was all his fault, he genuinely thought he was doing the right thing, right? So like, as much as you want to beat him up, yeah. For me, I really enjoyed, I believe it was Commander ended up getting promoted to Captain
Yes,
Cressida.
the one who, I liked her.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember her name. Yeah,
She was definitely the MVP, as we saw with the the portals or whatnot. They don't call them portals. The
Hypernet Gate or Hypergate or something like that.
Yeah.
Hypernet Gate, yeah.
So, for those who didn't see the last episode that we did on my channel, this is a reread for me. And yeah, it's nice to start spending some more times with the commanders and captains, just kind of like seeing their personalities and their specialties come out. And she really shone through this book.
Yeah, so like that's she got more limelight in this one. So she got a nice chunk of it just to bring her up. Same as that. The other Delius, Duellos, that captain. He's always back in. Yeah, he's always back in Blackjack, and like he's just stayed a same. He's probably had the same amount of stuff, but he's quite a consistent guy, which is always good. There's a couple other captains who are kind of still on the fence, but they're leaning more his side on the fence. And
the cool thing about Dulos too is he's not afraid to be like, I just know you're a regular guy. You know, I don't think you're somebody bigger than what you say you are. Or I don't think you're this grandiose character, but I just know you're a regular guy, and that I appreciate that, even though some other people may not.
Right. How about you, Ramsey?
I would say Blackjack's still my favorite, but as a side character, like favorite character that we didn't get enough time with, I would probably say Rion. Her
Okay.
motivations were like she comes in and she's like, how could you do this to me, when he's like, we're gonna go to this shipping yard, and then she's like like after the battle, and she's like, all right, go over here, hop in the bed, I can't stand it anymore. And she's very direct. She even said, she's like, I've already been in love, I don't have any love left, but I've got my ability to give comfort or whatever.
Yeah. So what's it? So the love was to the old the husband. It was her time. Time went to the Alliance, wasn't it? I think.
And then Soul. That's it. And then her body and her mind. I think it's her mind. Definitely a body, but I think the body and mind went to old Blackjack.
I think she kind of had the idea of I don't mind being like together with you as like a comfort, but I'm not going to be your wife or your love, or basically
she's got
this
other
is
priorities.
I saw something in the Hypernet Gate that I need to just be with somebody, and I think like when I bring up the question later, my favorite moment was right after the Hypernet Gate, because man, that was so cool. Like where they were just standing there, and like I was like, I had to stand up when I was reading the book. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
So. Yeah, do you know what? I don't know what it is about this book, but like I'm reading a couple other books. I'm sort of plodding along, and I'm not like must keep going. I'm enjoying it. I can put it down. It's fine, and they're good. But this book, I was like, I just did most of it in a day. I was like, I must keep going. Like there's all these mysteries. It's just literally just everything I like. Like a little bit of alien, a bit of space gates, battles. There's all these little mysteries that we don't know. But I like that they're still teasing us, little teasers. Don't have to give it all to us in one hit. I'm just like book, and it was done. I was like, oh, I'm going to start the next book. I've got it here ready. I've already got it ready. But I was going to start it, but then you're like, nah, we'll give it a little while. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
just
December 1st.
To you.
So if anybody wants to join us, December 1st, we're starting the next book, because I want to read the next one too. I got it downloaded on my Kindle. It's sitting there waiting on me. It's the only one I couldn't find at the used bookstore. I got every other one physically, but I couldn't find that one.
Why don't you just buy it online?
Because I like to save money, and I got these for like $3 a piece, and normally they are $7.99. So
yeah, see, on Amazon, they are going secondhand on there.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is for you guys. It's probably worked out about £5 for me, which is probably about £7 for you lot.
That's about the same, yeah.
Well, yeah, but don't forget, it's going to probably about an extra couple dollars. It's probably about £7 for a used one for you, for what it would cost me, and it's like £10, which is like 12-13 quid for a new one. We get conned over in England.
Yeah. Well, you guys don't have a lot of stuff that you make in country. You have to import stuff. So that's always.
We're a buying country, definitely a buying country.
So next question will be this one. Okay, yeah, it should. So like I was saying, my favorite moment was right after the Hypernet Gate, and they were doing the targeted shooting, where because the Hypernet Gate has all those like I can't get my hand in the screen. Okay, so you've got like the different holders of the Hypernet Gate in the system, and like they blew one up here, and so they had to like minimize the damage. So they were blowing them up in sequence to minimize the damage, and they were doing that shooting, and like just the way they were talking about looking into the Hypernet Gate, and the way that like the ships were starting to fail because they were just like the stress. Yeah, they were overloading, the weapons were overheating, and it was like, what's gonna happen? Like how many people are gonna die here? And like I was so excited. And then the energy pulse came out, and then when they got into the conference, and they were like, I think you blew it up on purpose.
I know.
And that dude, he's like, no, look at my video feeds. I stood at the gates of hell with John Geary. I doubted him, but I don't doubt him anymore. Yeah. I was like, yes.
It shows how genuine Blackjack is too. The fact that like when they first made the accusation, it didn't even register for him, right? Like he's like, of course it was intentional. Like the syndicate set it off, and they're like, no. We think you did it. And he's like, wait, what, why? And yeah, yeah, adrenaline rush as the gates were collapsing and everything, and then also the moment afterwards where like glance at Rion, because it's at the beginning of this book where he gives her the passcode or whatever to how to like
that's
blow
right
them up or whatever.
That's right before they go to make those jumps. Or no, yeah, it's at the beginning.
Well, he knew about what was going to happen before they went into that system to go to the gate. So it's before the system, he'd give her the data disk with all the information of how to blow up or not blow up, like what the process of whatever it is. And they're like, oh, crap, this actually does do that.
Right.
Yeah. When they found out it's like a planet-destroying bomb.
More than that, no, it's systems, isn't it? They're like supernova level. We're talking wiping out systems, and they're everywhere, aren't they? I'm so pumped about that. My two favorite parts was obviously I love about the aliens. They're teasing about aliens, and the fact that they're talking about there's a border, and the syndics were over the borderline, and they sort of come back, and there's a dead man space between viable planets and the syndics line, and all them hypernet gates are basically all over the border and all through there. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And they're talking about, oh, we could go there, like we know jump course. I'm like, yes, do it. Go. We don't need to go back to the Alliance. Deeper. Go deeper. You're already in there anyway.
Sense, though, right? Like it makes a lot of sense if you're trying to outsmart them. You can't just go shortest path.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like she even did the simulation where she's like, if we kept going this way, they were going to slowly whittle us down to nothing.
So it makes sense just to go deeper. Just keep jumping deeper because it'll get to the point where they wouldn't have a clue where to go. Just keep going deeper. The fact you're smiling is giving it away. Just go deeper and deeper. Just keep hitting them. Don't worry about going back to the Alliance because you could just cripple the syndics. Just keep jumping. Hit strategic points. Then go somewhere that's not strategic. Blow that up. Yeah, just kill them all. Now, my favourite part, but my favourite part was the little drama of when Geary's minding his own business, chilling, walking down the hallway, and then there's Victoria and the captain, Jane, or whatever her name is, they're like face to face, like each other. And I was reading that, I was like, what is going on here? And he's like, oh, what is it? They're not fighting over me. And they're like, what do you mean you? He's like, oh, I love that. That killed me. Pure hilarious that was.
And you know that they're not fighting over him because this Johnny just is like really interested in that guy over on the other ship.
Yeah.
So like
Dejani is protective of Blackjack though. So like maybe not in competing for him as a love interest, but just as like the protected
her using Blackjack as a political game because he's going to come back as like, the hero who was dead, who's brought this fleet back and done severe damage towards the syndics.
Right.
Well, it'd be good for her politically for them being together. That's for sure.
And I felt like, again, Jack Campbell does a good job kind of writing these characters because like you get the internal monologue from Blackjack as he's like going through and trying to reason through Victoria's motives and everything that's going on there and just like all those pieces. My favorite moment, and I wish we had more of them, was when we got to see the Marines on planet and just kind of get that little snapshot of the ground combat and Blackjack coming up with that like fourth option of like, okay, there's not a perfect solution. I get that, but give them a warning. And then just start clearing them out, right? And I've made this comment before, but I really like Blackjack as just like a leadership example because there's so many times where like he catches himself giving orders because even though it's been 100 years, he's now acting admiral, he can still remember what it's like to be like a grunt where he's like, oh man, I just gave one of those contradicting orders that just drove me nuts.
Yeah.
So he's like, turns it back on them. He's like, well, how about 30 minutes? Is 30 minutes enough? And she's like, well, I'd feel more comfortable with 15. So even though like Blackjack has to, kind of concede a little bit on his principles, potentially killing civilians, he's like, okay, like your primary responsibility for these people on the ground, like I'm going to defer to you. because like it lies with you. Okay, yeah, 15, make it happen. And we kind of get to see like a little bit of what it's like for life in the syndicate world, right? Like they're kind of like their secret police, trying to tell civilians to stay there and, you
Yeah.
know, taking them out. So we get a little bit more of that snapshot into the other faction, as well as like the Marines. I mean, like, I know this is about like space combat, but the Marines are just awesome,
Yeah.
right? Like,
It really plays to the point too that they have no reinforcements. Like there is no way that they're going to get more people unless they find another, you know, prison planet. But you know, every time like I read about battles, like I just read about Ulysses S. Grant in the Civil War, and he did so well because they had so many reinforcements. They'd go in, they'd attack, and then he'd have the ability to reinforce himself. But the South didn't have the ability to reinforce themselves like the North did because they'd been cut off by Sherman. And so the South was just like, let's just bunker up. Oh gosh, we got nothing we can do. And so you think about like Geary has no reinforcements. Like every ship he loses is lost men, lost people, lost women. Like it's definitely one of those situations where like you can see just a little bit of loss is tough.
You have to play smart.
And that's part of why Falco's betrayal hit so hard. The fact that he takes what, like 40 some ships.
Yeah, I think it was 40 or 44.
And I always have trouble kind of like tracking like the total number of ships, because we really don't get a good count of like the light cruisers and like the little supporting ships. Like we know that we have like the 4 auxiliaries, right? And
they're
then
the only 4 I know. The rest of them are just sort of a blur to me.
Yeah. Then like you have your 2 different type of like combat ships or whatever, and they do a good job going and explaining that. We kind of have like a gist, but yeah, like they take such a huge part of the fleet, and yeah, they're not getting that back. Like you can only mend your ship so much, right? Like you can only replace systems so much, and
can't grow people.
Yeah, you can't replace your people, and
they said something too about not being able to use the Syndic ships too, right? They like
it's
none
not
of their
compatible.
material works. Like they deliberately made it incompatible.
We got metric and Liberty units, like they just don't mesh.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about but oh damn it, brain's gone. It's just about exactly what you're talking about. No, that shit. Yeah, what annoyed him the most was the captains have made this decision, and a few people in the bridge and stuff, like the higher up, but like everyone else haven't got a clue. They're just following the orders, and you don't actually know because Nooms, he was saying, oh, we got told that Falco said that you wanted us to do it, and he's lying. But that's his story, so he might have told that to his crew. So the crew's like, okay, this is the plan. We're going to get hailed to come back, and we're going to ignore it. So they all think they're doing what they've been told to do by Blackjack, because not everyone on their ships are going to be against Blackjack. It's a mix all across. So like a lot of them people think they're doing what they've been told, or they're just going with their orders, and they've all been killed, but pointlessly because of like the captains and a few other people.
Yeah,
that's what annoyed him the most out of everything. Because Nooms and Falco, go kill yourself, sure, but it's all these other people who didn't know and they just got killed.
Yeah, and he takes that responsibility seriously, right? Like he knows that he's responsible for all their lives, and it's kind of interesting. We're only on book 2, but just following Blackjack's progression with just like his ownership of the fleet up until this point, because he even has that moment of reflection where he's like, man, if somebody else showed up right after I came out of survival sleep, I would have been like, yeah, here's the admiral's hat or whatever, like you do this, I'm good. But he's had so much time with him now where he realizes like he is the right guy for the job, even though he doesn't want it. His training is clearly superior, and he's managed to pull off these incredible victories. So yeah.
Yes, I have. I am. I have been watching that.
Is it worth picking up? Star Trek Discovery?
It's all right. Now, I liked the first season personally. There's a lot of stuff I didn't like about it, but I did like what happened. A lot of stuff that happened in the first season. Take away the things that are annoying, but I did like that. The second season episodes were good and specific characters were good. It was all right. The third season so far. I'm not a massive Star Trek person. I've watched a lot of it, but I'm not like deep into it how a lot of other people are. I am enjoying it. I just feel like if they removed Michael Burnham a bit more, a lot more of the other bridge crew could get a lot more light. They have done that a bit more. But like Michael Burnham's a bit of a Mary Sue in a way. She's good at everything, tells everyone what to do. They've toned her down this season. But I feel like the rest of the crew are getting more limelight now, which is nice because I mean there's a whole bridge of people which they've got some really good people there. Just
that's a big part of Star Trek, from at least what I remember from the previous seasons. My parents were Trekkies, so like I grew up watching TNG, Deep Space Nine, et cetera, et cetera. And while the captains are the main part of the story, it's also the whole bridge crew, right?
Yeah.
So,
I've heard it didn't feel as Star Trek as a lot of like old school Star Trek fans wanted.
Okay.
And like if you were a big Star Trek fan, it didn't feel like classic Star Trek.
Okay.
What I think's hard is like the JJ Star Trek. Like I liked. Now, when I say liked, I did. It was the first and second. I did like them. Now I know there's faults again with them. See, I like a lot of the action stuff, where I'm not a super loyalist to the old stuff because I've watched some, but never everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then Star Trek 3, which wasn't JJ's, that was terrible. That was just a disaster. And I think because of how it kind of gave people bad taste. And then when Discovery come, they sort of messed around with stuff with whether good intentions or not, and that upset people, and they already had a bad taste in their mouth anyway. And because there is a link between Discovery and JJ's crew, there's a link between the two studios who've done it or something. People are just they don't like it, and and it's there are good aspects. There's a lot of blue lights everywhere. Everything's got a blue tint, which is quite annoying. Yeah, it's just blue. It's just. Yeah, if you just watch it to enjoy it for what it is, it's fine. But if you're really deep into it, I can see why it does annoy people. And
Yeah.
All
right on.
So let's talk about the aliens.
Yes, mate.
Okay.
Right. These aliens, yeah. Now I can't wait. I've got clue what they are, but I know they're coming, and it's going to be good times. They are pulling the strings somehow. They obviously give the tech to the Syndic and the Alliance.
It's clear they give us the technology.
Somehow, how they done it, I don't know. I know you know, and I can see by your grin on your face.
I'm not allowed to do spoilers.
No, you're not.
So I'm reminding myself where we're at this point.
So, I have a feeling that they somehow broke into something and planted it in one of the Syndic computers, and then we stole it from the Syndics, is what I'm thinking, because they're closer to the Syndics. And somehow they made us. They started the war. They either attacked the Syndics, saying it was the Alliance, or they were just saying that we had some technology that was going to kill them or something. That somehow they planted the idea that we need to go to war, and they're just enjoying the war, just sitting back and being like, "Ha, we started this."
Right.
Now, I'm a tin hat person at the moment because what was it? So I've got this crazy idea. So something that I really like about the Syndics is we don't know anything about their leadership. Who's in charge? Who's running it? Nothing. We don't know anything. I don't know. Who is it? Dave? Fred? I don't know.
Yeah. They're supposedly like a board of directors, right?
Read more Sci-Fi. Sorry, go on.
Right, that's about the extent of what we know.
Yeah,
that it's not like the Senate or whatever that the Alliance has. It's just some board of directors.
There's no name. It's just the Syndic leadership's bad, but then the Syndic leadership's whoever's in charge whipping it above. But what I'm saying is maybe the aliens, this is my tin hat now, maybe the aliens are actually in control at the top of the Syndics because You just don't know who
I
they
don't
are.
think so.
No, you say that, but I mean,
I
Stargate,
think
them bugs, what they called the blinking. Oh, what are they called? The ones who got into the Jafar. What are they called?
like the mind control bugs or whatever.
Oh, I can't remember what they're called now. Damn it, them little worm things. Maybe they're inside the CEO's heads and they're running the whole game. I'm just saying.
I think I think they run it like today's CEOs, and if you do it, like if anything goes wrong, those people get fired, and most likely they probably get fired and killed. And then so there's so much turnover, you don't need to know their names. They're up there making decisions, and if things get messed up, they get pulled off to the side, shot, and somebody else takes their place.
There's got to be someone at the top, though. There's got to be at least 5 people or 3 people, you know what I mean, at the top somehow.
Oh, yeah, there's probably like a board of directors that's like in the chairs with like the black coats.
Petting their little kitty cats.
Yeah, or they're petting the alien cat because they're aliens. No, I don't know. This is what I find really interesting is we're 2 books in and there's just lots of teasing. You know, lots of teasing in the first one. There's lots of teasing in this one, and I'm pumped about it. I love. Yeah, it's really good. Like
we get the first tease in the first book when we find that there's non-standard drill bits used, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it kind of like Blackjack's like, well, why would that be? And the Marines and him kind of have that conversation, and then he brings Rion into it by asking like, hey, you know stuff. Do you know stuff? She's like, I don't know stuff. Like, I like how she answers questions without like directly answering his questions at times, but they get to the point where she finally comes out and says like, well, I don't know anything about this. And then they keep doing the speculation. And from what we know, speculation wise, up until this point, is Rion and Blackjack suspect that upper management of the syndicate would know, right? And they look at kind of their border on the other side and speculate that maybe there's aliens on that other side. Like, it doesn't look like a frontier, it looks like a border.
Yeah.
So like you have Alliance, then you have Syndicate, and then potentially aliens, right? And if the syndicates didn't want to let their own people know about said aliens, and they clearly don't want the Alliance to know about said aliens, then anything that happens that the Alliance isn't responsible for, the syndicates have to take credit for, right? And we don't really know where the start, like the reason for the start of the war. We had that revelation with Blackjack when he was talking to them, like, so they never found out about the start of the war. And it's been a while since I went through and read this series, so I can't really spoil too much. But yeah, we get like one question answered and then like 3 more questions pop up in regards to the aliens, right?
I just want like them to find like a dossier where it's like, oh, this was supposed to be destroyed, and then like it was like in some bunker where it was supposed to be destroyed, and they're like some like conspiracy theorist on the Syndic side. It's like on a isolated ice planet where he's like, well, you know, I think the aliens are doing this. I think they're doing this. You know, because
Joe with his tinfoil comes out. You know, from the isolated.
Joe's on a planet by himself, theorizing about aliens. Yeah.
Aliens.
Oh, I've got so many ideas. The whole series. Why I'm interested about the series is what this is 6 books. Now,
the main series.
Yeah, there's just this one talking about 6 books. And the other ones are like pre and after and stuff. Now, they're teasing the aliens, so they're obviously, hopefully, going to bring the aliens in this, or maybe by the end they'll bring a tease in for the next series. I don't know, but it's like I'm interested to like how 2 more jump or 2 more books, they're back at the Alliance and they've got to deal with the aliens, or are they going to go deep? You know what I mean? That's something I'm interested in, which I know you can't obviously at all answer. That's something that I'm really curious is what sort of direction are they going to go regarding 4 more books? Is it going to take 4 books to get back, or are they going to do more? You know, like, you know what I mean? I'm very interested. You know, are the aliens going to be? you know, if our characters can stop the gates from doing what they do they have to go to war with the aliens? Are the aliens going to be that powerful it takes the syndics to align up, or what? You know, it's very...
Well, they had some speculation about that, right? With having the hypergates in all the major systems and the risks that come from that, because we don't know the aliens' capability, right? Like the hypergates are just so far out of humans' technological
they've got no clue how they're
grasp. Like,
made.
yeah, they got no clue. So they're kids playing with, power tools. We just know we push the button and it works. We don't understand how it all works behind it. So it kind of makes you wonder, what other technologies do aliens have that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Like we know that we would have to come up and just, start doing damage to make it go boom. But
they could just press a button.
They could just press a button, right? And there goes 3/4 of humanity, just like that.
Well, this is kind of what I'm like interested is how are we as a humans going to counter these aliens? Because we must have to somehow stop all of the gates. We can't just go blowing up every single gate one at a time and just work our way through. We've either got to make peace,
sure,
or somehow work out how they can detonate through a button. We got to find a counter to then deactivate them, and then there's dealing with the aliens. Now, if the aliens are on the Syndic side, that means the Alliance has to become friends with the Syndics to then get the other side to fight at the border wall where the border is. So that's kind of like, is that all in the next 4 books? That seems like a lot. That's where I'm just tinhead,
Yeah. I'd even go a step further though, because like so many things when it comes to war it's not just the actual physical threat, right? Like both sides have become so reliant and so dependent on these hypergates that their economies are purely based off this. Like their travel, their trade, like everything is based off the hypergates. So if you get rid of the hypergates, then that could leave a lot of different systems in a bind, right? We were just talking about our local economies with like the UK importing stuff as well. Like think about, they have the hypergates to where not everybody needs to be able to do all their own economies, all their own stuff. They can just import, export from different systems. You get rid of all that. It's not just a physical threat. It's like, you have to worry about whole systems starving out or not having supplies, or yeah, a lot to potentially happen in the next 4 books. And I'm with you guys. Like these read so quick. Like we get a couple battles, we get a couple systems, and then it's over.
That's like, I feel like it is quite a good blend of characters and action. It's not, it's not like, lots and lots of characters. Because even though you spend all the time in Geary's head, and I like the way how he conflicts with himself, but like you spend a lot of time in his head, but yet it's never like a dull moment. You always just go, and then he argues with himself, like, should I do that? I shouldn't do it. And he's going through all these different battle plans and sort of like scenarios, and then talks to a few people, get a few other people's, How are we liking the space battles? Who said that?
Yeah, it's me. I was adding that for the next question. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was leading into the next question. Sorry.
Oh, you're getting all technical now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I like the space battles. It's different because the last few books, space battles, they're very sort of like single ships or a few ships versus each other, which I like because because there's a bit more detail gone into the Pacific ships fighting, where this is a much more grander scale, but where it's all from his point of view. He's like a strategy game, complete controlling, like these units go there, they go there, on top of like the time lag and all that stuff. So I do like that, and I definitely feel they're giving names to like the groups. Like there's is it Fearless? Was it called Fearless, that group? Or the one where like they were the most loyal captains, weren't it? I can't remember what they called that.
Phoenix?
I think it was the Courage. Cressida's for here. Hold on. You keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's like I thought it's like fierce or fearless, something like that. Like that 20 ships who
Battle
Fearless was
formation.
an individual ship, but I know
was it?
they called Task Force Furious. Yeah,
That's it,
what
Furious. I knew it was F.
There you go.
Like he's given names to groups, like they're always going to be together now, so you kind of know the captains and who's with them and their jobs. And I think that's what he's doing. He's trying to get the ships and delegate these ships, make them characters basically, because you know if some of them ships die, they're characters who are you've had a few books worth of characters, even though they're ships, because makes
you
the
can
ship
definitely
die
tell
up.
he has a Navy background because it
Yeah.
feels like naval battles. Like
Yes.
the at the very end where they did that cup formation, where they like every time that the syndics would move, the cup would move, and they would just fire all their missiles like in a cup formation underneath. Yeah. So like they were never hitting each other, but they had maximum damage potential to the ships. And I thought that was really cool. And then like in book 1 at that final battle, it was like they ringed them, where kind of like a tubular ring. So as they charged in, they were just beating the crap out of them because they were going straight for Dauntless. And I mean, it makes sense how they're winning, and it makes sense that the way that they've been fighting, which is just bash into each other for as hard as you can, won't work anymore. But the syndics are probably figuring this out too. Like they've been destroying the ships completely. So I mean, they are kind of hiding their tactics a little bit, but there's got to be a point where it becomes like strategic battles where like they're coming into different formations and stuff. So like I'm like, if you've read any like the Star Wars Thrawn books, like I'm thinking there's going to be like a mastermind from the syndics.
Someone's going to pop up,
meet up on, and he's going to
be the
like
counter to get Geary. So they're going to have like a little sort of like a stand-up. So the way you're smiling, I know he's right. He's right. yeah, we're on to you. Every time he goes,
no spoilers. No spoilers.
Now, something I feel they did better, and he did better in this book than the last one, is explained better how the loss of information regarding tactics and all the general stuff like that was. They spoke about it a bit more, because like in the first one, obviously my issue was how over 100 years military devolved, even though they've explained it and it's like whatever. But in this book, I feel like they did a better at explaining why they've lost so much information, because there's so much information layered on, they just can't find it anymore in the web of whatever. I do feel he did a better job. I don't know if he had criticism in the first book, so he may have added that a bit more in this book just to kind of, you know what I mean? I did
maybe
like
the
that.
beta readers were like, hey, that just doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah, it's not quite believable yet. Yeah. I like that.
In the audiobooks, the author, I forget his actual name, but that goes by the pen name Jack Campbell, does talk about he got some feedback from his beta readers in regards to wanting more details of the space battles, including just like some of the technical stuff with like the speeds and everything else that's going on. The space battles grew on me as I read through the first time. I don't think it would read as well if we weren't at the admiral's level, because if we were just following a single ship, there's not enough there on the actual ship to ship level, right?
Yes.
Because the interactions are so quick that everything's computers at that point. You just have to kind of like plug in your commands and let the ship do what it's supposed to do or go where it's supposed to go.
I think the time delay is a really neat aspect too that I would never have considered when I was thinking about if I ever thought about writing space battles. Like, distance in space, light has to travel to that point for them to actually see what's going on. They talk about, they're not even going to see we're in system for 3 hours or 4 hours. It's like that's a whole level of surprise that like we've been in your system for hours, and because you're a fixed object, like we can see you, but because we're not a fixed object, the light has to travel and hit us for your eyes to see it. And like that, like I would have never thought of that. And I thought it was
It's
so
realistic. That's how it's. This is very similar. If you take away all the fancy weapons and shields, this is pretty much how we're going to fight if we do fight in space. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully everyone's peaceful, but we probably won't be. We're human. We're humans.
I was about to say humanity.
I mean, there's got to be aliens out there. The universe is infinite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're going to find another aliens out there, and they're going to be like, we don't like you. And we're going to be like, we don't like you. And then, funny enough, we're going to go to war. It's just what we do. But this is very realistic to how the time lag and stuff. You know, this guy's done a good job. I think this is actually classified as hard sci-fi. Yeah.
I'm so jealous of that you have that copy.
well.
Blue
To Tim,
pages.
Lost Cunningham's question,
Yes.
still my favorite sci-fi book of all time.
Mhm.
Like still, like not
Yeah.
even a close second. And then a book that's very like this, I don't know if you guys have read it, is why can't I think of it? Leviathan Wakes.
Okay.
But it's from like a single perspective, but it has the realistic space fights.
Yeah, that's
and it's
Expanse.
pretty good.
The show.
Yeah, The Expanse. I've only read book 1, but the
That's on
first
my
one was really
TBR.
good.
Apparently they're really good. I mean, that's why I made a movie, or not movie,
Yeah.
series out of it.
Jack?
I read a lot of I don't follow the mainstream stuff. I'm a bit of a rogue. I follow just independent guys. So
Yeah.
I mean, and I keep to a very small, you know, the actiony side of stuff. So go by authors is the best thing because I can't remember the names. Just look for the top authors. Terrible. No, I'll tell you what's a good series that I'm reading at the moment is I probably said it last time. It's the Fire and Rust series. That's quite good. M.R. Forbes does a lot of good books. His books are really good. That Emerge and Exodus was such a good book. Emerge was a bit of a letdown, but he's got his big. It's the Forgotten Starship series he's doing, or the Forgotten series. And it's just like Earth got annihilated by these alien bug things, and then they all left, and then other dramas happen, and they're all sort of all coming back together. And then where he's split off, there's still people on Earth. So there's stuff. So you've got stories on Earth, and there's stories of loads of these different ships of dealing with their own issues, but they all interlink because stuff on Earth are on the ships, and then there's other aliens out there, and his universe is good. Like, yeah, M.R. Forbes, follow him. He's a good guy. I'm trying to think of some other. I can't think of no one on top of my head. What other books I'm reading? The one I was telling you about. What's it called? Second Chance Angel, I think it was.
Yeah.
Second Chance Station or something like that. Last Stop Station.
My kids keep trying to come inside. That's
don't worry about it.
They're like banging on the door and banging on the window.
They want to be a YouTube star like Daddy.
I know, man.
I think kind of reel it back in. Jack Campbell does a good job reminding us of the time delay and the light delay. And it's not to the point where he's like constantly bashing it into our minds, but like as Ramsey was saying, I didn't think of it the first time I read it until he went through and explained it. And yet we often have like Jack, or I almost said Jack Campbell, Blackjack, kind of remind us where he just gets frustrated himself as he's seeing the battles of like his ships as he splits them up, where he's like wants to become that micromanager and tell them how to do their jobs. He's like, with the time delay, it just, I can't do it. Like it's one of the drawbacks. And then so like us as the readers, it's not so much like they're saying, hey, idiots, remember, this is why we're doing it this way. It's like the very real emotions from the guy up at the top being like, man, I can't do anything to help him out. Like it's already happened. Yeah. So he does a good job kind of like constantly reminding us in subtle ways of how the physics of all this plays out, and keeping it believable as well, which is nice.
On that, the same thing, how his character's evolving is he's not micromanaging as much. He's saying like, no, I trusted them to do it. I've got to let them do it. And even that, that guy, whatever he's called, the Duellos guy, that captain who's always backs Blackjack, he was doing something with the the Furious fleet thing, battle group. And he's like, why is he going back? Why is he circling around? He's like, oh, he wanted to say something. He's like, no, I've got to let him trust. And then he sees the reason why he'd done it and whatnot. And then that's good. Like, it's really good. Like, he's grown so much. He's definitely grown. And the captain, whatever her name is. Dejani, that's it.
Say it.
She's really growing as well. The way she was very much like, just kill them all, civilians, blow the planet up, death to them all.
Right.
And now she's like, I understand why we're not doing it. And I understand that we do more damage letting them 100 people go, because what they're going to say, the poison they'll say about the Syndics and what they'll say about Blackjack doing all this damage, and then he let us go.
Yes.
Her character's evolved. She's evolved the most. Out of massive leaps and bounds she's come, I feel.
Yeah.
They mentioned the financial aspect too, where when they
Makes
destroy
sense.
all the military installations in the system, the Syndics, if they killed everybody, they would just write it off as a dead system. But being that they have to go back and fix all the military, it basically cripples them even more, because they have to come back in and rebuild all that installation.
Right.
So,
right.
No, I agree. There's a lot of stuff. There's loads of information. There's loads of stuff, but he does really well at letting us know all these different bits and bobs. It's quite, even though you're stuck on this one ship on one guy's head, the entire universe, you're learning so much, even though you don't know a lot about the Syndics, but the smaller scale stuff, you know what they're like and what they do, and you know a lot about the Alliance, and the Alliance got the little dramas and stuff, and it's good. Like that, so far we've learned a lot, and characters have grown, and that's good. I think it's really good. Well, there's a reason why it's a good series, isn't it?
Yeah. With a lot of those points with Dejani and Blackjack Geary, that's why I constantly say, like, if people are looking for good characters to kind of like follow and draw inspiration on, like, they're good leadership examples, right? Like, they're not perfect, but you get to hear their reasoning and their thought process through, as far as, like, when to lead and when to step back and let your subordinates lead and make those choices, right? Because if you're constantly second guessing them or undermining them, then they lose all confidence in themselves, or they won't take the initiative on stuff. So really enjoy following Blackjack and his journey through this, Dejani. And we're only 2 books in, right? We got another 4 to go for this series. We're doing 1 a month, right? Starting, you said, December 1st is when we're reading again.
Courageous will be the next one.
Yeah.
Something that I'm really happy is they've kind of, for the time being, dealt with Nooms and that,
and they're less than 300 pages. So
and that other.
They're so quick.
Farsa, I think that woman's called Nooms or Gnomes, whatever his name is, and Farsa, who followed Falco. Them two, there was always a pain at those meetings. They really annoyed me. And for now, they've dealt with it. But I've got a funny feeling they're going to need their help. And the way you're smiling, I know, later on, they're going to be like, damn, we need some captains for some reason. Can you guys do your job? And I just, whether it's going to buy them or not, I don't know. But I've got a funny feeling they're going to come back.
There's a good amount of politics in this, and they explained why, right? Like a lot of other military sci-fi that I've read, there's not nearly as much politics, but they explained it well in the first book about how it almost kind of became its own political organization. And we got to see some of those snapshots when Blackjack was doing research on Falco, right? And we learned that Falco is everything Rion was worried he'd become, right? And if Blackjack truly wanted that power,
he's close to being able to do that if he wanted to.
Especially, like, we've seen the battles he's racked up so far, right? Like, they're going to have those records. So if when he does show up with that fleet and all those wins,
he has political power, political clout,
and because it is, like you said, it's turned very political. He could just walk in and become a dictator to a degree. It's interesting. He should do it, to be honest. He should. Do you know what? I've got no problem with a dictator if they're a good dictator. Take away dictator being a bad word, but if you're a good guy and you want to do the best, control us. You know.
See, you're from a country where, like the person is just in set, and then there's like government that helps them out. So like the American idea is like dictator bad, and you're like, well, I mean, it's like a king, but not a king. You know? Like,
well, the thing is, our royal family don't do nothing. They're about as good as a chocolate teapot.
Well, I've heard that it's that way with them.
They're there for tourists. They don't really have much clout or anything. They can voice the Queen. I think she can voice stuff, but the whole thing's corrupt now anyway. So that makes
we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this stream, where like same with Falco, he thought he was doing right.
Yeah.
And so, like, same thing with Blackjack. Like, as a reader, imagine 4 books down the line, if we see how capable he is, how amazing he is, and he has all these other people at his back, like, he could easily make the argument, like, this is his responsibility. Why not end the war? Why not take authority? And then, you know, maybe after the war is won, put it down and go into retirement. I mean, like, it's so easy to make those excuses and justifications, right? For the greater good, we need to do this for the greater good. Think of all the people we'll save.
Like Napoleon.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to lead. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm the emperor.
Yeah.
Now
I'm going to stay for a bit longer. It's quite comfy, this chair. Yeah, I don't mind. If as long as a good dictator, go for it.
And we're seeing all the captains kind of come around, right? Like even one of the ships that was with him when they were dealing with the Hypergate and everything. It's like, hey, I was one of your biggest like detractors or whatever. And now I'm
skeptics.
like, you know, gates of hell, let's go. You know, I packed my lunch. Like, let's make it happen.
Could be interesting what the next drama. We've got 8 minutes. What the next drama is going to be for the next book. I mean, I haven't even looked at the book, to be honest. But like.
The third book, like the blurb, like leans heavily into aliens. It's like, oh, you know, he's got to deal with the syndics, but so I'm assuming that it very much heavily goes into the alien idea. Last question I had for you guys: do you think Falco's mind actually broke, and he went back to before his capture, the initial capture, or do you think he's faking it?
It's only me because he knows. I think he lost his marbles because I feel like that's a good way to end that character off. He come in, he was like the bridge. Like if the next book is about the aliens, he was a good bridge to get to the aliens. If he comes back, I would feel like your story's been kind of, you know, I don't know. Depends how he's written if he does come back, but I mean. He's in prison, isn't he? Like, if he has.
Like, my first thought was, "Oh, this is fake."
Yeah.
And then as it went on, like, I was like, "Oh, he's probably not faking this. This actually might be." I
think that'd be good for the character, like his arc and everything. He broke, and it's kind of good to show that, like, he really did mean his best, and everything was legit, and he snapped in the end because. You know, he was on the Labour camp for 20 years. He come out, everything was rigid on the camp. It didn't go to plan. His ideas didn't work, and he broke down. Joe the Dictator, yes!
He has my vote if we vote.
Believe it or not, that would be really good. Space travel. Let's stop mining the planet. Let's mine space. Let's go.
I've always thought I could fix this country if they let me be king.
I would.
Just let me do it. I could fix it.
Science, you know what I mean? Like, the thing is, like, you can never get rid of, as much as like you'd love to have world peace, you can't get rid of the military because people would kill you.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like let's everyone done it together. It's a very hard question. You know, it would be brilliant. You know, let's go to space, not kill each other. Let's kill aliens or something. But no. If we give up arms, someone will do something because there's too many nutters in as well. You know, one madman gets in power. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's like, you know, you see everywhere that they take guns away, then knife violence rises up. You know, it's like humans are going to find some kind of weapon.
Bad stuff. You know, we don't have, we have in England, we've got legal, you can have shotguns. you can have, I think, pistols with a long extendable thing. I can't remember what it was. They might have changed that a lot, actually. That's ages ago. Anyway, you can have shotguns and air rifles and stuff. People who have licenses commit zero crimes. We have gun problems over it, but they're all illegal guns killing each other in towns and cities. That's not the gun people. My gun back when I had it, it was all registered and done. Nice. These people are going to kill each other. But then it's education as well. You know what I mean? It's the people they're getting let down in their cities.
New York City is the same way.
Educate. The best way to deal with problems is educate people. Get people smarter and not being so.
I've always thought that everybody should at least join the military for like a year or 2 years, get trained how to use it, and if we ever needed like a military force, we would just all go and help out. Be like, where do I report to?
There's a lot of countries that do that. A lot of Eastern countries, you're required to serve in the military for a year or two.
I'd like to do it just for the excellence, to be honest. I'll tell you, nowadays, it's getting bad. I get fed so well at home, it's getting showing, man. This isn't beard, this is all like flap on my neck. It's not good.
yeah. Me too. This is all just to hide the chin.
If you shave that off, you'll still have a big old chin now, all your neck.
To reel it back, I think Falco cracked after 20 years. The pressure, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Like the mind adapts in its own ways to help you survive. So I think he cracked, but I was with you, Ramsey. Like at first I thought it was maybe him just trying to be maybe politically savvy in a way, try to play off the situation and a bit of acting. And then as the story progressed, it became more and more clear that, he just lost it. And other captains took opportunity or advantage of the fact that there was somebody else that wasn't Blackjack for them to rally behind. Because he was so much like the old way, right? Like, let's vote, let's, do all this stuff. And Blackjack had to be like, like, I'm not saying the syndics are the right way to go about it, but can you imagine like a company or something, like if everybody got a vote and what they did, like, be just pure chaos.
How dare people minimum wage want to vote for more money? I agree. Let's not do this. That's why we don't have votes. I'm joking.
Right.
You'd never get anywhere if everyone had to vote, because everyone would then want to do the best for themselves, whether it's right or wrong. But best for me, might be best for you.
It also removes some of the accountability too, right? Like people up at the top, it's like, well, like it wasn't my decision. They voted to do this. Like, I'll just watch it crash and burn and be like, well, I did what you guys wanted me to do.
Yeah. I'm interested. I want to read the next book. I might start tonight in July. No, I won't.
Couple weeks. You got other books you got to get through, don't you?
No, I have. I've got 2 books. I stopped reading at Valor just because I read this and then I'm trying to finish the other one. I listened to the audiobooks easy. I could do it when I was out doing stuff. But at home,
audiobooks are great.
Audiobooks all the way.
Do you read any physical?
Most of the reading I do is usually like technical stuff because you can't do it. But if I actually have time to sit down and read, it's usually something like technical or purely educational in nature. And then the rest of my stuff is just so much easier with audiobooks. I could do it while I ride my bike or something, do chores.
As we wrap up, I know we're getting like right here at an hour. We got like a minute left. What do you guys have coming up that you guys want to talk about? And we will say goodbye.
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't actually planned. My planning day's tomorrow. I don't know what book I'm up. Well, I was trying to read that book today that I was reading. You know what? I did like it. Did I write it down here? Shockwave. I need to do a review of Shockwave because Jeremy Spires, I did an interview with, he sent me a book. So I've got to do it. Probably might do that actually. Yeah. That'll be on Friday, which is my normal day, Friday. I want to start doing what we spoke to you, Carl, that writing thing where we talk about writing, but I don't know if you've actually done any writing.
You are inspiration, sir. I have started doing some more creative writing. lately.
Cool.
I do some boring writing for work, but after talking to you and another booktube buddy, you guys have all the same excuses I do with family and work and everything else. Like, you know what? If these guys can make time to write, I can sit down and make a little bit of time to write or outline. Fired up Brandon Sanderson's creative writing
He's good. He puts all that
lectures.
out for free. I like. He's really
Yeah,
good for doing that.
yeah. So I've been listening to that stuff and been working on it. So yeah, let me know when you want to talk about writing.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk for next. Sort it out this week for the week after. Maybe it depends on schedules because I've been doing a fair bit of writing. I'm up to 27,000 words, and hopefully by the end of the week I'll be up to 30 odd. I did like 5,000 words last week, the week before, and then I did 3,000 words this week on 2 days, I think.
Wow.
I do have like 5 hours a day. I have like a little short window of 5 hours.
Good on you, man.
So I just it's terrible quality, but it's down.
Hey, that's the biggest challenge though when I have to writing. It's like I can so easily get lost in like all the details. It's just you just got to get it out, and then you can go back and revise later.
That's what edits are for. Edits clear up, but if you've got it down, you can then know what to edit.
Yeah.
I've just done a bunch of world building. Like I've drawn my universe.
There you go.
Theory crafted on like what the universe is going to be.
That's the fun part.
Then
though.
I've got a beginning and an ending. That's all.
All right. Here's an idea. The three of us, in a week or two, will come on. We have a half an hour. We'll just talk about what your story, my story, and your story. A bit of world building. See if we can get anyone teased and interested. Just chuck ideas about, and then you could like say, "Well, I'm doing this." I'll be like, "Oh, what if you did that?" And then Cole could be like, "That'd be a good idea." And you'd be like, "That's amazing." And then, yeah.
Same time next week.
I'm down.
Sunday I can do Sundays. Sundays are cool for me. This or whatever time. Which, if you want to do that, I'm happy.
Cool.
I'm down. Let's do it.
A lot of the
done.
A lot of the authors they have their own little writing groups come together. Constructive criticism, hold each other accountable.
I had read a book. I know we're going over your time, sorry, but I read a book from this guy, and his book, he had spelling mistakes, and there was repetitive words, and there was lots of talking and just info dumps on pages and pages and pages.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I follow his page on Facebook because it's his first book. He drilled loads of money into trying to get it seen by people on Amazon and all this stuff, and he couldn't work out why it didn't sell, nothing happened. And I actually sent him a review. I wrote a review and sent it to him. I didn't post it because I didn't want to do that. I sent it to him. And I see him on Facebook posting up like, "Oh, but I love my story. I just don't understand." And there's like all these sort of like negative things to why he should keep his story the way it is. Like, I like the story. I'm thinking, but the problem is you may like it, but no one bought it. Why? Because it's not what people want. People don't want a textbook essay. You've got to take constructive criticism.
If that's what you want to do, if you just want to write a story, and that's what makes you happy, then who cares what everyone else thinks?
But he's drilling money into trying to get it sold, and he can't work out why it's not selling. He's got no reviews, and people. The one review he got was exactly the same as what I said, but I said it nicely. He said it really quite aggressively on Amazon, and it's like. Yeah.
Fair enough. I know we're going over on time, and Dictator Joe doesn't keep to any time schedule but his own.
Well, I put out a video today. It is a who are the heralds for Stormlight Archive and where are they now? I did a ton of research, wrote like 8 pages of notes on this.
Nice.
So if you want to check it out, I would love it. Did my best to not make any assumptions. So hopefully it is a very quality video, I think. And it should help out people who are getting ready for Rhythm of War, the 4th book in that series.
Yes.
So that's what I've got.
Tonight we're doing The Singularity Trap by Dennis E. Taylor. Next Sunday we're doing a little bit earlier, 5 p.m. Eastern. So I might have to work with you guys, make sure our thing next week doesn't conflict with that, which if we do the same time, it shouldn't. We're doing the first book of the Dark Material series.
I've read that. That's good.
Yeah, it was one of my first adult fantasy books. And then last Sunday of the month, we're doing a live book discussion of Rhythm of War, and I'm hoping Ramsey will be current by then, so I can get him on to talk about it with us. But yeah. That's what we got going on.
I'll try.
Yeah.
It's a big book. Have you read the preview chapters? I'm not touching them until
They Brandon Sandstrom has the audiobooks up on YouTube, so you can listen to the first 18 chapters. And
Nice.
Oh my goodness, the feels like that far in. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
I think so too.
But yeah, guys, I had a lot of fun. Looking forward to this next one. Are we going to keep rotating? Have we decided? Is the next one going
Joe's
to go?
channel's next.
Joe's next.
Yeah, if you want to come to mine, that's fine. Whether we'll get as many people watching, because my people don't seem to follow me. They just kind of like watch me occasionally across a whole week. My views are staggered. So whether you want to keep, because we've got quite a lot of people here talking, so I'm happy to split between you two. Because
no, we'll go to Joe, and then I'll do a better job letting our followers know that it's happening on your channel, Joe. And I think the sooner we get it on the calendar, the easier it'll be to get the word out.
Yeah, well, I'll upload it the day before, so it's up on the thingy bob, and I'll spam my social network stuff.
That's what it's for.
All right, guys. Well, let's call it a day, and I will probably see you on Carl's channel in a couple hours.
Yeah, nice. Looking forward to it.
Bye, guys. See you later.
See you guys.